Welcome to the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay. This is your positive path for spiritual living.
Easter, Unity on the Bay. How great, how grand to be in a room filled with stars. Did you know that each and every one of you is a star? And you know what you're the star of? Your own life, your own universe, your own world, your own existence. You're not only the star, but you are the director, you are the entire cast, you're everything rolled into one. So the only question that I have for you on this Easter morning is, what kind of a life, what kind of a production, what kind of a drama, what kind of an existence are you living? And do you realize that if you're not satisfied with things as they are, you and you alone have the ability, have the power, have the strength, and have the tenacity to make the changes that you need to make, that you want to make, so that your life can truly be not a tragedy, but a triumph. So the big question of today is, what is your life? Is it a tragedy? Well, I know mine has been a tragedy a time or two, but it's also been a triumph. And it's always been true for me that to whatever degree I've experienced tragedy, always in its wake is the triumph. Now you may ask, well, what's the difference? How do I make my life from a tragedy into a triumph? And it really comes down to a simple choice. You know, everything that we're experiencing while we're hanging out on this planet together has to do with the choices that we make. Not only on Easter Day, but every day of our lives, every moment of our lives. And you are always free to change your choice. Did you hear what I just said? You are always free to change what you're choosing. But first of all, you have to recognize that you're choosing it, which requires you to move from a space of victimization, always an ingredient of a tragic life, into a space of victory. This morning we're talking about triumph. This morning we're talking about the reality that you have been created in the image and the likeness of the Almighty. I don't care what anyone has ever told you in the past. That's the truth of your existence, is that you are created in the image and the likeness of God. And you always have the ability, through your own free will, to bring that into manifestation in your day-to-day existence. A life of tragedy, my friends, you can guarantee this, is always based on a decision toward fear. And a life of triumph is always rooted in a decision toward love. So right now in this moment in your life, and every moment, you have that choice. Fear or love, love or fear, which will it be? And if you haven't noticed, my friends, our country and the world is in a position right now to be poised for our response. Will our response be one of fear, or will our response be one of love? And actions taken from fear always result in tragedy. Actions taken from love always result in a triumph. As I was considering this year, as I do every year, what shall I say about the Easter season that I haven't said before? And after 20-some years, it gets a little more challenging. But this year, it came clear as crystal. The life, the teaching, the ministry of Jesus Christ was a life and a teaching and a ministry of love. It was all about love. This holiday, this Easter season, is a celebration of the power of love in your life and in my life. Jesus, you know, was not a Christian. Buddha was not a Buddhist. Muhammad was not a Muslim. These individuals were teachers of love. Love was their religion. Love was their religion. Love was their invitation. Love was their request. And it's a request that's being made of us right now. You know, there's no greater way you could honor Jesus Christ than to bring more love into your life, to express more love. And I guarantee you right now in this moment, there is someone who needs to hear you say, I love you. And you may be holding back out of a sense of long-held resentment, or a feeling of being superior or right in some way, a feeling of having been played a bad deck. I'm telling you, my friends, the longer I'm on this planet, the more I realize we are here but for a few brief and fleeting moments. And every moment that we deprive ourselves of the choice for love is a moment of tragedy that is completely unnecessary in our lives. Our resentments do not harm those around us. We carry them on our own shoulders. And this Easter Sunday is about breaking through that heavy weight and rising up in your own personal resurrection experience. So what do you do to celebrate religion? To celebrate Easter, you begin to recognize that you too can adopt as your religion, whatever your faith may be. And of course, in Unity, we embrace all faiths, but you can adopt the religion of love. So I thought, let's take a look this morning at what love is. And I went to Charles Fillmore. If you don't know Charles Fillmore, along with his wife Myrtle Fillmore, they were the co-founders of what is now the worldwide Unity movement. And they believed deeply that there is a common thread that unites all of the spiritual persuasions in the world. And if you can identify what we have in common instead of how we differ, you'll be on to this golden thread. You'll begin to see that we all can come together regardless of our personal individual faiths, lifestyles, whatever it may be. And that's one of the most beautiful things that happens here every Sunday morning at Unity on the Bay. One of our greatest values and one of our greatest gifts is our diversity. And I've often said, if we can sit in this room for 60 to 90 minutes on a Sunday morning and believe in the power of peace and the power of love and the power of unity, if we can do that for these few moments that we share together today, it can be accomplished on this planet. And right now, the whole human race is calling out for it. This is where you and I become truly, my friends, the saviors of this world, by making the choice to love, by making the choice to set aside what ultimately is our petty judgment and come together in a spirit of unity, in a spirit of love. Charles Fillmore says this about love. He says, love is an inner quality that sees good everywhere in everybody. It insists that all is good. And my friends, you and I must insist, regardless of the pressing appearances of the time-space reality, we have to insist that it's all good. We have to insist, and by our insistence, we carve our way through the appearances of time and space into the spiritual reality that lies just a tiny ways beyond them. And by refusing to see anything but good, it causes that quality to finally appear uppermost in itself and in all things. You see, wherever you put your energy in any moment of your life, wherever your attention is placed, that is going to create the experience of your life. So as stars, as directors, as producers of your own life drama, hear those words. Your energy has everything to do. You are creating your day-to-day experience, core understanding of the Unity way of life. You are creating your experience by the choices that you make. I'd like to share the story of a congregation that was gathering much like we have today. And tardy for the service was what appeared to be, at least, a homeless gentleman who didn't look much like a gentleman. He was disheveled in his appearance. He was odorous to the individuals around him. He sat somewhere right down toward the front of the room. And as soon as he sat down, one by one, people began leaving the area. They found him distasteful. And so at the conclusion of that service, as he was leaving, the pastor of the church said to him, "Fellow, I would like for you to take some time this week in contemplation with God and ask the divine, how is it that you should show up in a house of worship?" And he said, "Next week, if you come back, I'd like to be able to see the example and hear about your conversation with God." So a week passed, the gentleman came again and came down the other side of the room this time, took a seat somewhere over here, and immediately same problem. He looked like hell and he stank. And people began fleeing and moving into different directions. And so once again, as he was leaving, the pastor came up to him and said, "I want to ask you again to go and ask the Lord, seek the Lord's guidance on how it is that you should show up in our house of the worship of the Lord." And the old fellow said, "Well, Pastor, that's exactly what I did last week. I went to the Lord God Almighty and I said, 'Lord God, how should I dress and how should I show up in that house of worship?' And the pastor said, 'And what did God tell you?' 'Well, God told me he wouldn't know. He'd never been there.'" So there's love, and then there's love. Let's take a little closer look at this so that we can understand how we might make the choice for love. First of all, love, remember, is our ultimate reality. So the easiest thing in the world for you to do is to love. The most natural thing for you to do is to love. And every one of us in this room, every one of us on this planet, no matter what appearances might be saying about our character defaults, there is a place inside of you right now. It's always been there, and it longs to love. If you are seeking fulfillment in your life this morning, seek love. That's what I love about the whole life teaching, the gospel of Jesus. The gospel, in one word, is love. You heard the song? Love, 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 love. The gospel in one word is love. Love your, you know this? Sing with me. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love, love, love. Take that song with you. It's my Easter gift to you. Make it your mantra. And when you're in those situations where you do not feel you can love, sing it over and over again. Love, love. We love to intellectualize the life and teaching of Jesus. We love to intellectualize spirituality, and we love to complicate it. But this is not complicated, my friends. It just takes a certain discipline. It takes a strong, heartfelt desire to make the choice to be an ambassador for the love of God in this world. And if this world needs anything right now, we need love. We need it in every shape, size, form, and expression that we can possibly arrive at it in. It's our ultimate reality. Next, open-hearted vulnerability and trust. Actually, we'll never be able to place our trust with confidence in anyone or anything outside of us. I'm talking about a trust that comes from deep in the center of your soul. Trusting the power that you have within you, the power that God has placed there. And when you have that level of trust, it comes automatically, naturally, with a certain level of confidence. So you have trust and you have confidence, two prerequisites to the most important ingredient in true love, and that is this. Vulnerability. Vulnerability. Do you know that inside of you there is a place that is longing to drop the props? That is to drop the image, to drop the social projections that you're putting out into the world that have to do with the way you want people to think you are. There's a longing inside each and every one of us to be authentic and to be vulnerable, to allow ourselves to be who we are. When you let down the weight of trying to prop up some kind of existence to the world about who you are, that is a very heavy burden indeed. And when you drop it, you find you have unparalleled levels of strength and courage with which to move forth totally in authenticity with the spirit that you are and completely vulnerable. Why is that? Because you know that vulnerability is your greatest gift and nothing can hurt or harm you. Make the decision for love. Don't make a decision for fear. Compassion and understanding. When Neil Donald Walsh was here a couple of years ago, he presented me with a great aha experience when he said, forgiveness is not as important as understanding, because once you understand, you will forgive without question. Once we understand the predicament of the other individuals in our life, once we let down our own personal reactions and our judgments, we begin to understand one another. And don't you know that's a prerequisite to a true and authentic experience of love in our lives? Unconditional celebration. I have a problem with the word tolerance. I appreciate it, but to me it's a rite of passage. Like walking up to someone and saying, I'm going to tolerate you today. Well, thank you so much. It feels so good to know I'm being tolerated. And right next to it, hand in hand, is acceptance. Well, it's certainly wonderful to know that I'm accepted. We're not here to tolerate each other, my friends. We're not even here to accept each other. We are here to celebrate each other. We're here to celebrate our differences, our nuances, our twists, the various ways in which we show up. Yeah. I say, all 31 flavors, bring it on. That's what we want here. Because we're nothing if we aren't everything. So why fear differences? Why not instead embrace them? And hand in hand with that understanding comes this: total equality. Total equality. The recognition that every one of us, no matter what our personal human judgments have to say about each other, we are all perfect, happy, whole, well, and free, exactly as we are expressing. Can you not see also that the world is calling for us to transcend our judgments and our cruelties and recognize we are one human family and we are all equally entitled to the recognition of the expression of God in ourselves and in others? You know, my friends, it's really not that easy to do if we can just lay down our justifications. Just lay down our justifications. But really, on this Easter day, what a better day could there possibly be to recognize that and to realize we are all equal in the eyes of God. And finally, true love is a desire to give of ourselves. Not just on occasion, but constantly in an ongoing fashion. I thought, where else in Miami, potentially in the country or on the planet, would you be privileged to hear about love from a Jewish rabbi on Easter Sunday? So I found a Jewish rabbi who is going to share with us for just a moment here on the true nature of love. Take it in, my friends. Remember, Jesus was a Jew.
Love is a word that in our culture has almost lost its meaning. There's a very interesting story about the Rebbe of Kotsk, who came across a young man who was clearly enjoying a dish of fish that he was eating. And he said, young man, why are you eating that fish? And the young man says, because I love fish. He says, oh, you love the fish? That's why you took it out of the water and killed it and boiled it. He said, don't tell me you love the fish. You love yourself. And because the fish tastes good to you, therefore you took it out of the water and killed it and boiled it. So much of what is love, right, is fish love, right? And so, young couple falls in love. Young man and young woman fall in love. What does that mean? That means that he saw in this woman someone who he felt could provide him with all of his physical and emotional needs. And she saw in this man somebody she feels that she can provide. That was love, right? But each one is looking out for their own needs. Right? It's not love for the other. The other person becomes a vehicle for my gratification. Too much of what is called love is fish love. Right? An external love is not on what I'm going to get, but what I'm going to give. We had an ethicist, Rabbi Dessler, who said, the people make a serious mistake in thinking that you give to those whom you love. And the answer is, the real answer is, you love those to whom you give. Right? And his point is, if I give something to you, I've invested myself in you. Right? And since self-love is a given, everybody loves themselves, now that part of me has become in you, right, there's part of me in you that I love. Right? So, true love is a love of giving, not a love of receiving.
Not very often will you hear me say, he said it better than me, but he did indeed. Fish love, my friends, is fishy love. Nothing to mess around with. We're talking about a real experience of the dynamic and the power of love. And giving, investing ourselves in those who occupy space in the circle of our dramas every day. Giving them a piece of ourselves. Making an investment in other people. Making an investment in the family of humanity. So thank you, Dr. Abraham Twersky, for that dissertation on fish love. So this morning I want to give you something. In line with the good rabbi's words, I want to give you something. We want to give you something. I remember a number of years ago, I was a minister up the road at Unity of the Palm Beaches. And in the mail one day, I received a curious box. And when I shook it up, it rattled. So I opened it, and much to my astonishment, I saw a number of old, rusty nails. And then I saw a letter that was enclosed with it, and it said, "We would like to send you more old rusty nails so that you can pass them out to every member of your congregation on Easter Sunday as a reminder of the pain and the suffering and the persecution of Jesus Christ." Well, you can imagine being a Unity minister in a Unity church, rusty nails was the last thing I was going to pass out on Sunday morning. Why is that? Because I don't want you to get stuck on the cross. I don't want you to put your full attention and energy on those nails and the pain and the suffering. I want you to put your energy on the resurrection. I want you to put your energy and your attention on what can break through anything that's breaking down in your world. Not just on Easter Sunday, but every moment of your life, my friends, you're making this choice. And you have the ability to make the choice for love. How many of this congregation really want to make this world a better place? All right, I'm going to give you easy instructions on how you can begin that process this morning. As you depart, we are going to give each of you an Easter egg. Now, when I first thought about these Easter eggs, I wasn't aware of something, even after all these years in ministry, that the egg is actually a symbol of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The egg itself represents the tomb or the entombment. And when you break the egg open, it represents the resurrection. Now, the eggs that we're going to give you on your way out this morning don't have to be broken. They're easy to open. But I don't want you to open it until you get home this afternoon. And when you have a quiet, personal moment to yourself, I would like for you to take that egg into your hands. I would like for you to remember the commitment you just expressed to me, that you want to make this world a better place. And realize then that it begins by you making the choice for love in all of your personal relationships, in all those who occupy time and space in your existence. This is your choice, my friends. We are in our current predicament by choice, and we will be resurrected and liberated from it also by choice. So I want you to bring to mind an individual or a situation this afternoon in your quiet time that you are ready to express a deeper and more sincere level of love to. And then I want you to open that egg and read what's inside of it. No peeking on this, because this is a valuable tool to help you. Keep that egg around then, my friends, and every time you bump into what you believe to be an unlovable person or an unlovable situation, take out your egg and remind yourself of some very important spiritual truths. Here's the charge, my friends, and I'm going to ask to have it put on the screens so that we can speak these words together. Let this be your prayer for Easter. Let it be your prayer for every single moment of your God-blessed existence. Together. This day I make the choice to move from tragedy to triumph, from fear to love. The resurrecting power of love guides me in right thought and action. Today I will behold God's love in everyone and everything. Today is my day of triumph. Thank you, God. I guarantee you, my friends, that's the way to celebrate Easter, no matter what your religious faith may be. God bless you. Happy Easter.
Thank you, Chris. Beautiful. And so we're going to invite our ushers to come forward, and this is an opportunity really for you to express that love, to give that love that Chris was speaking about. Through your love offerings, through your tithes, we as a spiritual community are able to express that love outward into the greater Miami community and actually beyond. You may have seen that in the foyer, we are concluding our toiletry drive. Our Angels Everywhere team is concluding that drive. That drive is to support the homeless population in South Florida, most especially children and women, and especially we're supporting organizations that are helping LGBTQ homeless youth. The Angels Everywhere program is then getting ramped up to start the backpack drive. If you were here last year, you know that we were able to collect over 5,000 backpacks and give them in Miami, yes, Miami, Broward, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. And it is all because of the love that we are able to express together. So I'm going to invite you to bring your love offering to your heart, that place where Charles Fillmore says, love resides and all creation comes from. And just infuse it with the power of your love, the power of your giving, the power of your very essence. If you're watching online, you can go to you can click on the link so that you can also give. If you are giving through text giving, you can do that now. But let us all bless our giving together, speaking divine love through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Amen.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Positive Spiritual Living Podcast, brought to you by Unity on the Bay, a spiritual community located in Miami, Florida. Unity on the Bay is supported by the generosity of its community. If you'd like to make a donation or learn more about Unity on the Bay, please visit unityonthebay.org. You can also follow Unity on the Bay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for even more positive spiritual inspiration. Until next time, thanks for listening and many blessings. Namaste.